What's up, guys? Welcome to the Taylor from our stage here at our HQ. Today, I want to dive into a topic that really helps us go from wherever your business is now to growing and scaling it and the truth behind that. So let me give you a little bit of backstory of why I'm talking about this and it's been on my mind. So I'm not going to tell you the companies because they're both great, pros and cons of both. But I'm in a few forums and in a few conversations, and this week I got in the middle of one that was basically talking about the difference between two competing softwares in the marketing space. And one of these has an award once you hit 7 figures, the other one does not. And so the whole conversation, which was really a battle, was about should this company have an award? What are the pros and cons of this award? Now, this is not about the pros and cons of having an award and getting to 7 figures or whatever arbitrary number you want to get to. It's more about what it takes to actually get to our goals and scale our company. And the battle of this really came down to that it's not just one thing. And the reason that sometimes awards or even just our own benchmarks, such as I want to hit $1 million a year, maybe it's $1 million a month, what are those benchmarks and what really go into getting those things done and growing a business? Now, at the end of the day, we all want to grow. We all want to impact people. We want to help our customers, but it takes more than just a website, more than just a good video, more than just a landing page, more than just an amazing product. It takes all of those together. And far too often, even as good business owners, people that we've been in the world forever, you start to think, oh man, I'm just missing that one thing. And that's just not true. It's about consistently building your entire machine to grow and scale your business. So today I want to talk about the steps that it takes to actually identify what your business needs and how to grow it and scale it to the numbers that you really want. And so the first thing is you got to have lead generation. And so you have to have some kind of repeatable system to go in and take somebody that doesn't know you exist today and turn them into a customer as soon as possible. And so you've got to have a system to that. And really, if we go back to my story of how this kind of all came to my mind, what one company is saying is that if you crush lead gen, everything else is going to work and you're going to grow your business to the moon. But we all know, if you really sit down and think about it, there's a million companies that none of us know about that probably have amazing products. They're the best product on the market, but they have no idea how to do lead generation. And then we also know, or maybe you've had an experience with someone that was amazing at lead gen. They sold you, they got you in, and then you got into the back end and you were like, oh, this is not what I expected. And so you got to have all these pieces. That first one is lead gen. So how do you take a cold eye, people that don't know you exist, get them to be aware of who you are? So really awareness. The second step is lead nurture. So you're taking those people that are now aware of you and you're bringing them through a process where they begin to understand the problem that you solve for them, and they begin to trust that you can actually solve the problem. So you're creating this gap of here's where you are now, Mr. Potential Customer. Here's where you want to be. We can help build the bridge between those two places. So you nurture them. The next step is sales. You got to sell them. You got to have some kind of sales process to get them into buying your products and understanding the different services levels that you have, and get them to actually give you their credit card, hand you cash, and pay you. The next part is fulfillment. You got to fulfill. And then you've got to ascend them and retain them. So how do they keep paying you longer and longer and longer? So you're not running on this hamster wheel of get a client, lose a client, try and get a new one, and then it runs over and over and over again, and you never build and scale. So each one builds on top of itself. So let's go back through those really quickly so you understand and see them all. So the first one, lead generation. Create awareness. Number 2, lead nurture, build trust, close the gap. Number 3, sell them, close them, get the credit card. Number 4, fulfill on the promises that you've made to maintain the trust. And then lastly, retain them and ascend them so that they stay with you and end up buying more and more services and products from you. Now, I promise you that if you can identify all of these things in your business and put systems and processes in place to ensure that you're not missing or having gaping holes in each area, that's where you're going to see success, and that's where your business is actually going to start to grow. So let me end with some tactical advice on how to do that. Because really quickly, especially if you're an entrepreneur with even a small team, this gets overwhelming. because you can usually find a hole really quickly. Like, oh, we're just not closing, or nobody knows we exist, or our product isn't up to par. You can really find that quickly, but how do you fix it without letting the other things completely fall behind? So this would be my advice to you, is you go through and you just do a quick analyzation of these 5 things. Write them on a whiteboard, write them on a piece of paper, and I want you to rate them 1 to 5. So 1 to 5, 1 being this is terrible, the worst thing we're doing in the business, 5, we're crushing this. So you go through and you rate them 1 through 5. And then you're going to start with the lowest ranked item. You're going to identify the holes. You're going to put things in place to do that. Then you go through that meeting. Normally this should take anywhere between 2 to 4 hours, honestly. It can even take a little bit longer, but in 1 day or half a day, you can knock this out. So you go through and then you just identify, these are the things we're going to work on this month and this quarter to help us plug those holes. And I would highly recommend that every quarter, this is how you run your quarterly meeting. And so your quarterly meeting begins with, look at the past quarter, look at your numbers, your financials, everything that you have, and then take this assessment. So you rate everything 0 through 5, and then your quarterly meeting is all about putting objectives in place to raise the numbers at each section. I promise that if you do this every single quarter, you are going to see your business grow. And not only that, you're going to gain clarity. I think one of the biggest superpowers for entrepreneurs and business owners is when they have clarity about what they need to do, who's doing it, when it's going to be done, and what it's going to provide for their business when it's done. This will provide that clarity for you so that you can show up to work excited, motivated, and passionate about why you started your business and not so worried about what are we going to do today with all the holes and the crazy things running around in my business like you're running around with your head cut off, okay? So do these things. I promise it will help. The time is going to pass anyway. You're watching this now, and a year from now, if you don't want to be in the same spot and you want to have clarity around what you're doing, this is the thing that's going to help it. So I challenge you to actually go and do this. And a lot of you won't. That's the bottom line. You're going to hear this. You're going to be like, oh, that's a good idea. I should do it. But then you're going to sit down to take the time and you won't do it. And why do I know that? Because I've done it. I did it for 3 years in my business when I was like, oh, I should do that, but I don't have the time. I got to go run and do this. And I didn't do it. So I challenge you. I plead with you. Put these systems in place and you'll get the clarity and you'll grow your business. That is today's show. Like, subscribe it, share it. We would love it, and we'll see you on the next one.